Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome to our Friday live stream. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by fellow lifetime Longhorn, the man, the myth, the legend, Bobby Burton, and the estimable, the one and only Jerry Hamilton joining us as well. We got a lot to get to. I don't know if we've been this excited about a punter in a long time, but we'll get to Longhorn fans psyched about getting the acquisition of a punter in the transfer portal. We'll also talk about another national award winner for Texas. Kelvin Banks picks up the Outland Trophy, and also you get Jade Barron. No surprise, no mystery there. He is the winner of the Thorpe Awards. We've got to talk about that, guys, and talk about the legacy of those players on the 40 acres. So we'll get to that. And, of course, Texas Clemson, we can dive into that a little bit if you guys want to start peeking into that matchup. More transfer portal news. We'll get to possible guys who are visiting Texas via the transfer portal. Talk about some guys from Texas who are entering the transfer portal. The transfer portal, give it and it take it away. So we'll discuss that here on the show. All of your questions, comments, we'll address as many of them as we can, guys. You know, Friday is a little bit of a shorter live stream, so throw them out there as fast as you can. Super chats jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. The show belongs to you. So you can direct it any way you want to. Throw out a super chat, and we'll address that as quick as we can. All right, let's not waste any time, guys, because there's a ton to get to. Bobby, I'll open it up to you. I hope I get the name right because I could be off here, but the latest transfer portal acquisition for the Longhorns, a punter from Utah, former Utah punter, Jack Boomeister. Did I get it right? Boomeister?
It's Boomeister. I think it's Boomeister. Okay. Yeah. Look, I had to look up the pronunciation cue on this too because I had never seen this last name before. But yes, he's out of Australia, was part of the Pro Crick Australia. Jerry is one of the people that knows that as well as anybody. He was a two-time all-conference selection. First, by the way, in the Pac-12 a year ago with Utah. This year in the Big 12 with Utah, he was second-team all-conference for the Utes. Had 60 punts, I believe, 23 landed inside the 20, averaged 44+. Guys, I think that, y'all were talking about this a little bit. The big piece for me, for you guys, I wanted to get y'all's feeling on this. When I first heard they were bringing in a punter and knew they were going to do it, I thought Bob Shipley and Brian Irwin were going to just say thank you. Because the two coaches are like, please, yes, let's do a little bit of that. So what do you think of it, Jerry, a young man that's originally from Australia, like we talked about?
Well, you led me into my point saying young man. I think he's going to be the only player on the roster that was born in 1999.
Wow. I feel
he is a May 7th, 1999 birthday, for those wondering how old he is. That's I don't think there's another one on the roster going to be next year. Let's say that. But I think it's a huge pickup because he has ball control, right? The guy was a semi-pro cricket player, by the way, as well. But he's got ball control. I mean, he was an Aussie rules football guy. Those guys have great ball control. It's where they're really good is directional punting. And I think people are like, well, you got to remember his stats are he's kicking at Utah up in the altitude. But I'll say this. I think they directionally punted with him a little bit more so he didn't outkick the coverage up in that high air, up in the altitude of Utah there. But I think he's tremendous. I posted 2 or 3 videos on ontexasfootball.com and his commitment thread of like his game against Florida last year, against BYU this year, and I mic'd up with him at Utah. I think it's a huge addition to the program because, again, he's a 2-time all-conference player, right? There just aren't many of those guys floating around at any position.
Yep. Jerry, other guys on campus today and yesterday, by the way, Max Clare, the tight end out of Purdue, on campus yesterday. Today, we know of at least 2. Brad Spence, linebacker out of Arkansas, as well as Cole Brevard, defensive lineman out of Purdue, 6'3", 333 pounds, Rod, guy that plays over the nose. Eric Strickland, wide receiver out of Georgia Tech, was on campus on Monday, apparently as well. They kind of snuck him in on us.
We'll be on campus Monday.
Will be on campus Monday. My apology. Will be on campus Monday. Look, Singleton ran 10.32 for Georgia Tech's track team.
Yeah.
And that's Rod Babers' speed, if I don't say so.
Yeah. No, look, hey, look, Rod, he's got some jets. He's like the for me, he's the bigger version of Silas Bolden, maybe a little faster too. I mean, Silas might run 10.4, right?
Like that.
This guy's running the 10.2s, but 10.3 when it counted, 6.68 in the 60, got 7th in ACC last spring. But he's 5'10 and a half. He's listed at 5'11, 190. Let's go on 5'10 and a half, 185. But plays very similar. But Rod, what he does when you watch him, when he sticks his foot in the ground to run a post, man, that separation is boom. It's instant from fast guys. I mean, he gets over the top of fast players. So he would be a really good fit with the Arch Manning throw it deep coming next year in the Texas offense. We'll see what happens. Ole Miss, Auburn are considered players for him as well.
All right, there you go. Some news in the transfer portal. Get you guys' thoughts since you're talking about the transfer portal and acquisitions, but there are also departures via the transfer portal. The latest obviously you guys have already reported, but Justice Finkley is the latest Longhorn who plans to enter the transfer portal. You guys' thoughts? I mean, Texas is very deep on the edge. What things we've talked about this. I mean, that's one of their deepest positions on the team right now, and most talented positions actually overall on the edge. They're going to be losing some guys, but they're still really deep and really young there. Justice Finkley just couldn't find a path to play. I totally understand why he's hitting the portal.
Yeah, me too. I mean, and this is the second edge that's going in the portal to match with Tassili Akana. He's a little bit situated a little bit different than Akana, though. He's actually seen some quality playing time through the years. But with the arrival of Trey Moore, along with the addition of Colin Simmons, Barron Sorrell had already been playing, Ethan Burke had already been playing. It pushed Finkley down the road. And I've got to be honest, the other guys they're bringing in or have brought in, Zena Umeozulu, very talented young player that's just a true freshman. Then you also have Lance Jackson and Smith Orogbo. They're going to continue to increase the level of talent in that room. And I think Finkley probably wants to go somewhere where he can get some playing time more immediately. We'll have to see what exactly that means, and where he opts. But he becomes the 8th Longhorn to enter the transfer portal to go along with Jonte Cook, the 3 defensive tackles, Jere Bledsoe, Aaron Bryant, and Tia Savea, linebacker Darian Gillette, Javion Cole, the transfer originally from San Jose State, entered, and then also Finkley and Tassili Akana, those 2 edge guys. Those are the 8 so far in. Texas obviously has 1 that is committed to him, and that is Jack Meester. Sorry.
How many, just obviously just your own guesstimation or just kind of based on you guys' experience, how many more guys do you think Texas is going to see in the portal? Just kind of looking at the roster right now.
The number I have is 14, counting 14 now and through the spring.
Okay, I got you.
See, I think it might be more through the spring, Jerry. I had 13 now and more later, just depending on what happens to some of these players. I mean, frankly, some players could be fighting for positions, and then it just doesn't look right, come spring, and they need to enter. But I have 13, but I do think some are waiting until after Texas is out of the playoffs. The problem with that is if Texas wins this game on this weekend, or not this coming weekend, a week from now, there may be some guys missing that as well. Okay. Missing that window. Excuse me.
All right. Thank you guys for that. We appreciate it. All right, we'll get to some of the super chats here. Let me thank our friends over at Flat Creek really quickly, because we really appreciate them for sponsoring our Friday live stream and being part of the On Texas football family. Just so you know, in case you don't know, folks, the most awarded wine in Texas is actually the vineyard closest to Austin. That's right. Flat Creek Estate Winery is just minutes from downtown Austin, and they've won award after award this year for their vintage wine, Super Texan, one of my favorites. favorites. Actually, now it's kind of a family favorite because my wife loves it and her mom loves it as well. It's actually a part of our holidays now. It's a part of the Thanksgiving holiday for us too. Super Texan is now available at your local spec, so give it a try. Also, they have a display at Central Market. I know that as well because I saw it there. So I'm glad the good word is getting around about our friends over at Flat Creek and what a great product they have. But also, it is a great venue as well. I've been there. Bobby's been there as well. It's a gorgeous venue, folks. Barbecues and wine tastings every single weekend. Perfect for a date with your significant other or a weekend getaway with your significant other. Go check out Flat Creek Estate Winery. That's flatcreekestate.com. And thank you to Flat Creek for being a part of the On Texas football family. Really, really appreciate them and their support. All right, let's get to some of the super chats here, guys, and some of the questions. Rapid Calm says, is this the biggest game in DKR history? Ooh. It is now. It's a doozy. It is the inaugural. I mean, it's the first 12-team playoff, I should say.
Ever.
So first playoff game at DKR. I don't know, Bobby, you older than me, so you got to tell me where you think it ranks. I mean, no, I don't mean that. Sorry. I'm not trying to take a shot. I know, obviously, you just – we've been talking.
I know. We've even got to talk about somebody else that's older. Look at Jerry saying number one. I would say this. It's the first time they played a game in December in DKR that wasn't a high school playoff.
There you go.
I mean, the Texas has played for sure. Got to
put you at the top right there. Okay. Jerry said number one.
Is it the number one ever? I mean, I don't know that. I mean, there have been a lot of big games. Texas beating Houston when I was in school was just an enormous game. A lot of people talk about the Texas-Missouri game, Rod. Texas-Nebraska that you played in. You know, there have been a lot. An A&M game where Ricky ran for the record. You know, those are moments. I will say this. I don't know if it's the biggest game in DKR history. I think it'll depend on the outcome. Like all those games I talked about, they weren't necessarily the number one games going into that per se, but history was made, right? And so they're the number one games coming out of it. Just a thought. Jerry, you said number one.
Yeah, look, I think it's number one because the implications of this game. I mean, how many times has Texas, other than bad seasons, was there the possibility that your season ended on this field with this much on the line? I mean, that's every other thing's been, hey, you got a bowl game, you're going to go play in the Cotton Bowl for the national champ. I mean, there's been a lot of things go on. It's only when bad things are happening which your season ends at home. I mean, and that's the reality. Either you didn't make a bowl game or, oops, now we're in the playoffs and you lose at home. But it's number one for me because I don't want to see this chat if Clemson beats Texas in Austin.
Hey, it's the pretty type of orange versus the ugly type of orange.
That could get ugly.
You know?
And look, and here's why it's big. Here's why it's number one to me, too. No disrespect to Arizona State at all. Great story. Kenny Dillingham's doing an amazing job there. But it's almost like the NCAA basketball tournament in a weird way. Man, if you get past this first 5-12 game where, you know, somebody's trying to pull off the upset and you get to that game two, man, you're getting to get in the groove. You feel good about it. I mean, I think game one is tougher for Texas potentially than game two is. So you get by this one. I think you can roll on through and get to the semifinal. So this win, I think, is going to end up being worth 2 wins. And then you get a semifinal in Dallas. It's a huge game. If not, you're going to turn on. If not, you're going to turn on and watch Arizona State play Clemson for the right to play in Jerry Jones World, the national semifinal game.
Jerry just might have convinced me, man. That's because what's on the line. It is a huge. I mean, we never played with this much on the line before.
Here's the thought, the counter to that, Rod. Right now, it's only to be in the final 8 if you win this game.
Yeah,
there have been Texas A&M games at the end of the year that were to go to the national championship.
Fair. De facto, that was default. De facto.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
exactly. And so
I got you.
That doesn't mean, like I said, I think it'll matter. We can't trust Jerry. He's an Aggie. My point on this is we've seen stuff like this. I'm not trying to diminish
Okay.
this game at all.
That's a good point, though. You're right. I never thought about that. Even some of the Big 12 games we played in. But no, you're right about that in terms of what's on the line. I didn't think about that at the end of the season for when you're in a national championship conversation. That's true. So
yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure where to rank it. I'm not sure where to. I think it's top 5 though, easily. Right? We talking about it's got to be top 5. Got it.
Hey, by the way, Joe Z, he ain't about it because he didn't want Texas to beat his Oregon Ducks.
I like it. See, hey, Jerry ain't gonna just take them jabs. He gonna give them too. All right, we got another super chat here. Todd, thank you, Todd. Here is a super chat from Todd. Thoughts on Sydir Mitchell announcement? I'm throwing it to my man Jerry for this one. Your thoughts on the Sydir Mitchell news that's out there via the Twitterverse?
Look, I wanted Sydir to stay because I think it's great. I think it's the right decision for his development possibilities. Transferring somewhere else and starting over, even though your development's underway, it may be somewhere that you perceive easier. And I'm not saying that's what it was, but it would be. It's not like he was going to transfer from Texas and show up at Georgia. That wasn't going to happen. So I think this is good for Sydir. And, what it means to Texas, I'm not sure yet. It depends on what Sydir does in the spring and the summer. So far, he's played 36 snaps this season. If he takes the 2 steps forward and 1 step back scenario for the next few months, it could be really good for Texas. Sydir is going to have to get that done now. But I think for Sydir's development, I think it's a good decision by him. Look, you're going against NFL guys every single day. You're going behind, you have Alfred Collins and you've had Vernon in front of you for reps all year for the last 2 years, NFL guys in front of you. Then you're playing against NFL draft picks on the offensive line. This is a great spot to develop. If you can't develop here, where are you going to develop right now?
I mean, back-to-back Outland Trophy winners. I mean, that don't happen very often, given to the best. So hey, look at that. Throw it out there. So
hey, Rod, talking about those trophy wins. Okay, me and Jerry were having this discussion with Blake this morning. What does that mean from a recruiting perspective? Like, what you're a former player that probably wanted to win a Thorpe when you were in school.
I wanted to win the Thorpe. That was my dream.
So if you're that guy and you're that kind of competitor and you're being recruited by Texas and you just won back-to-back Outlands, you won the Lombardi, you won the Thorpe, you won the Doak Walker 2 years ago with Bijan Robinson. Mm-hmm. What does that speak to as a recruit for you?
Well, it speaks to someone that can help you navigate, right, the proper path to accomplish your dreams, and somebody who's proven it. I mean, that's a great recruiting pitch. That I wanted to win the Thorpe. I wanted to be a consensus, unanimous All-American. Right? I'm sure. I don't know if that's come out yet, but I'm sure Kelvin Banks and both Janae Barron will both be considered either consensus, possible unanimous All-Americans. Right? Go look up that list. Right? That's legendary stuff. Right? That means you're going to be one of the greatest of all time. So I wanted to be on the. Yeah, I mean, that was my dream too when I came to Texas, was to win the Thorpe. I watched the Thorpe Award nominations when I was in college, and I kept up with it even after because that was kind of my dream too. So I'm happy for Janae Barron because I know that was something that he said when he got to Texas that he wanted to achieve. But every DB and every offensive lineman wants to be the guy that's bringing home the hardware. Like that's the competitor in you. To say you were the very best. I was a semifinalist for the Thorpe, right? So never even got to be a finalist for it. But I think that's every young player's dream. And then, like I said, they all ultimately want to go to the league. So if you can be a coach that can point out that you have helped young men accomplish those two dreams, I don't know if they're other than NIL these days, because I'm sure that is a huge thing. Of course, wasn't in my day, but in my day, those were the two biggest sales like factors or data points in your sales pitch. Hey, you help me go to the league, and can you help me become an all-time great, one of those kind of guys?
Rod, it's so cool that we're talking about Janae Barron and his development at Texas coming off a Sydir Mitchell conversation. After year 2, did anybody raise your hand if you thought Jade was going to walk out of here with the Thorpe? Nobody would have said that. Sark, nobody. And for the guys that are thinking about leaving, man, if you're at a program that's developed players and you don't want to be here, good luck to your development. That's all I'm going to say.
I think Sweat's another story like that. I think Sweat's just like that. I think Janae Barron was more focused than Sweat was. I think Sweat was. I think he was a little distracted early on. But remember, he's the guy that's laughing on the bus.
Yes.
That forces Bo Davis to go off. It's Tavondre. So he admitted that. He's like, no, it was me. I was the guy giggling in the back after we got whipped by Iowa State on the road. That was me giggling in the back. That's how distracted he was. And then look at the development and what they were to do with him and what he was able to accomplish. Janae Barron, I'm with you in terms of the same thing. I think he was a little different, but I did not see him being a guy that could win the Thorpe. I've always been a big Janae Barron fan. You guys know that. Called him a football investigator. Thought he'd been robbed of all first-team all-conference status a few times in the Big 12. But you're right, Jerry. Ultimately, Kelvin Banks is the prodigy.
Yes.
He's the prodigy. The rest of those guys, they weren't prodigies. They were kind of like Rodney. Yep. Had a lot of potential. They had some great elite natural traits, but it still was raw. It still was raw material that you had to mold into being a great player. And now I'm with you. Look at what Janae Barron's have come. Look at Tavondre Sweat down the league. That's a force in the league right now, actually, for the Tennessee Titans. So I'm with you. I think those are the more powerful stories and the sales pitches because I see myself as Janae Barron. I was never a Kelvin Banks. Kelvin Banks that guy was a prodigy from the jump. I don't know how Oklahoma. That's how you gotta give Mike Gundy some credit. I mean, Mike Gundy wasn't he committed to Oklahoma State before everybody else?
Sophomore in high school.
Man, Mike Gundy saw it. it's like me and Kelly Rowland. Like I knew she was gonna be a dime.
That's right, Rod.
I saw it, Jerry. I saw it early on, man. Early on in high school as a freshman, I was like, she's gonna be a star, and then boom, there it happened. So that was kind of my Kelvin Banks, but one of them. But to me, I would say that I was never a prodigy. To me, he's a prodigy. That guy was the best player potentially on the team. Arguably, as a freshman, you could have made that argument.
Hey, Rod, we had a great question on coffee and football this morning. We need to throw it to you because you played with these guys. Is he the best offensive lineman that's ever played at Texas? You played with Leonard. No, you played with Mike. Now he has the best resume. If you put the resume on the wall, he has the best resume of any lineman that's ever played at Texas.
Yep.
Started every game in his career that he was available.
Yep.
Two national awards.
I said he was on the Mount Rushmore yesterday, and that I was like, that's easy. Yeah. But now you're talking about greatest of all time, the GOAT of offensive linemen. Oh man, I gotta do. I'm a research guy. I gotta go do some research on that, man. But he's definitely
the highest.
He's not gonna be the highest.
Because Leonard went 2 overall.
Number 2, So that's a different discussion, right?
Different discussion, right?
NFL. Even my DBU rankings, I don't include what you do in the NFL. Like that's separate. Right now I'll say without the research, how many offensive linemen have won 2 national awards in the same season and started since they were a true freshman?
I don't think any. He's going to be all consensus All-American this year too.
Man, yeah. If he's unanimous, then I'd say definitely he's the greatest. Because unanimous offensive lineman. Scott Appleton, 1963. Justin Blaylock, 06. But those guys, I don't know how many national awards they won. I think Appleton might have won 1. I don't know if Blaylock won any. Yep. Did Blaylock win the Allen?
No. Appleton.
Yeah,
the Lombardi or the
I think he won 1 national award though. Yeah, I'm looking at unanimous All-American. That means everybody was like, "You are the best player at your position." Bud McFadden, 1950. I don't even know if they had national awards back then. Shout out to Bud McFadden. No, not hating. Jay Scott. I don't think Jay Scott won a national award though.
No.
Jerry Sizemore, 71-72.
That's what I mentioned this morning. There are a lot of people a little bit older than me that say until now, he's still the best one. Dan Neal was a great offensive lineman for Texas. At left tackle, though, in this new age, I don't think there's any doubt.
I would say
Second
left
best
tackle,
maybe Jonathan Scott, actually.
Yeah, Jay Scott was unanimous All-American in 2005. And then there's Jerry Sizemore 71 and 72. Unanimous All-American twice, guys. 2 years in a row. That don't happen, guys. That don't happen anywhere, let alone even at Texas. Johnny Johnson did in 78, 79, by the way. He's on the Mount Rushmore. Billy Wyman was a center in 1973 and unanimous All-American. Johnny Treadwell, a guard, 1962. So I'm going to say right now, Jerry Sizemore is the only one I probably can throw out there and say that Jerry, he's probably got a better case. But I would say right now, he's got a strong case to be the GOAT offensive lineman. Isn't that crazy to be living in that day and age of Texas ball? We just came off a drought. They're about to end that drought, right? The first round offensive lineman since I played. I was on the 40 acres last time we had a first round offensive lineman drafted. Crazy, man.
I'd have two in the same year too.
Yeah. Oh no, that's wild.
To break that drought. Yeah. I would add this on him. I think he's the best pass protecting left tackle that they've had. Even better than Jonathan Scott, though. I thought Jonathan Scott was really, really talented and good. Not just talented, but good. Sizemore, I think, played right at 10 years for the Philadelphia Eagles. So he wasn't, but he was more of a guard, Rod and Jerry, especially at the next level, he was a guard.
I got you. Okay. Yep. That's before my time. Yeah. But that's good stuff too. Yeah. I'm right now. It's a good It's not a good conversation. Honestly, I think it's right now. The more and more I think about it, it's his. I think he might be the GOAT. All right. Before we move on, we have super chats. Bobby, would you tell the folks about our fine friends we're wearing right now? Our 40 Acres Friday. Always good stuff. My Longhorn go-to apparel.
Yep. 40 Acres Apparel was born inside DKR, designed and built exclusively for the University of Texas and Longhorn Nation. Go down to the University of Texas Co-op or go to universityoftexascoop.com and get geared up with 40 Acres Apparel. It is Christmas time, guys. Get your gear. You can get it in time for the game next week. Great designs, fashionable, high quality, SPF 50. Hey, the great thing about this, if you get it in the mail soon enough, you may even get your wife to let you open up the present early for the game next week. Feels great, looks great. 40 Acres is also a proud sponsor of the course material scholarships for UT students through the University Co-op. Just an all-around great company. And I will tell you, I absolutely love wearing their gear on game days or on days like this. Just tremendous feel to them as well.
Love it. No, I'm a huge fan. My closet, I always get compliments when I wear my 40 Acres apparel. All right, let's get to some of the super chats here. Then we'll get back to some of the topics at hand. Edmund Lee here says, I was at my granddaughter's congratulations. I was at my granddaughter's congratulations Thursday at Texas A&M. They really hate Texas University. Had to listen to the whole Reed Arena sing Horns Down. Yeah, that's all right. It's okay.
I talked about that this morning. One of my good buddies from high school, some of my good buddies, sent a picture to me of his daughter graduating from A&M Thursday. I said, and she was cheering. I said, hey, it's one of the only times the Aggies have had a chance to cheer for winning recently. So especially coming off that Texas game. The other thing I would say, did any A&M offensive players graduate or were they held back?
Yep, there you go.
Can you get held back in college?
Always a good time for some action. I will say this though about that Texas A&M game, guys. They were having a conversation whether that was the biggest game in Texas A&M history, a home game.
Yes,
and then they lose it. Like that's what I mean. Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say. Texas Georgia was really big until Georgia put up 30 and Texas only scored 15.
That's true. That's true. Well, now we don't put that one in the list. That was way down now, Bobby.
Yeah.
We only remember the good ones. That's a great point. Great point.
A lot of it revolves around the outcome.
That's very true. I'll agree with you on that. All right. It's 420 somewhere. Said I posted this on Texas Football, but want to ask here as well. I read that college football playoff is controlling the music and the entertainment in the stadiums. Can you confirm? I've not heard that. Thank you. Is 420 somewhere. Is that just a conspiracy theory or is that the real? Is for what? What you guys heard anything about that?
I had not heard that. I believe it probably has some merit, or else, I mean, who even comes up with that kind of thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Possible, since it's a new. It is actually operated by them.
Yes.
So that would make sense. I literally don't know. I'll ask Coach Chris Del Conte, see if he can give me the answer, or John Bianco, one of those guys. See what they say.
Okay. Yeah. No, that is interesting. I hadn't heard that, but that's it kind of would make sense, but I guess we'll see if things change, if the atmosphere changes, something like that. All right. Thank you for that. So Josie, I saw something about that for the Ohio State versus Tennessee game, Bobby. All right. Well, maybe something going on behind the scenes. Clemson gets an intro video. Also, maybe just trying to make sure it's balanced for both sides, that kind of thing.
That makes sense, even though the home venue.
Okay. All right.
They're not going to be piping speakers in like A&M, is what they're saying. That's not going to be allowed.
Okay. Yeah, but honestly, it's allowed as long as it's cut off during like the play, right? As long as it's cut off during the play. I mean, it's allowed. It started getting complained about it being on though when it wasn't supposed to be on.
Oh, I love Bobby Petronic sometimes.
I would have. I mean, yeah, I would use it. I would definitely do it. I mean, I would use that. Biggest ever, followed by nuclear dumpster fire, pretty much sums up the Aggie experience. Thank you, Bobby Petronic.
By the way, in the chat, thanks for keeping us updated on volleyball. Creighton up 2 games to 1 on Texas. 2 sets to 1. Sorry.
Don't like the bad updates. All right. The Nick Turn says, with so many D lineman players hitting the portal, do we think Kenny Baker has a line on some guys coming to the portal soon?
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. It's just a who. I'm not worried about Texas filling their needs. Bobby, my thing is Cole Brevard from Purdue on campus today, 6'3", 335, former 4-star recruit out of Carmel, Indiana, that signed with Purdue, signed with Penn State, transferred to Purdue, Big Ten tongue-tied, and has played pretty well over the ball for those guys and would be a really good fit for what Texas needs over the ball out of the portal. Bobby, I'm not worried about Texas filling 3 spots. My question is, do they get 2 frontline guys and a really good – do they fill it all the way to the need I think they have? 2 starter-level guys and a really good rotational player.
The devil is in the details.
Yeah.
You know, that's exactly what
get the numbers of players. It's are they going to get what they want?
Yeah, and the talent level.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because you can say what you want, but you don't replace Alfred Collins could be a 2nd or 3rd round pick. We all agree with that, we think?
Yes.
Yep. That's why I got
it. Okay, 2nd, 3rd round pick. Who are you going to get in the portal that's a 2nd, 3rd round pick? I mean, the best defensive lineman in the portal last year may have been Dominic Williams. You think he's going in the 2nd round? For OU? Most likely not.
No.
So the devil's in the details. Who's available and whether or not you are able to domino on that player. Now, Jerry and I have both heard that there are still guys that may be going in later that would fit that piece for Texas. They are not in the portal to our knowledge as yet. So that's where that is right now. I'm with Jerry. They'll fill their needs. Will they fill them with guys as good as Alfred Collins? I don't know. Maybe as good as Jermaine Lole and Bill Norton. That's more realistic.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Yeah, because no big-time program is going to let that guy leave.
No.
If they are that guy.
They wouldn't want him to, at least. Yeah.
They don't want him to. You're right. They'll offer him, as much as they can before they leave.
Hey, I messed up. Walter Nolan was in the portal last year.
Oh, that's true.
So he was definitely the best one.
And he was an interesting one because not everybody was going to go on him. As talented as he is, he's at his best year, and he's probably going to be a mid to late 1st rounder because he's going to test off the freaking charts. Like, I've seen it in person at the Under Armour game. It's scary what he'll test. Natural strength, quickness. His L cone may be really, really good for his height, weight. Not everybody went on him, though.
Yep.
Yeah. Like you said, Caldwell was also mentioned.
Very good.
He looked at Texas.
And he was going to Texas before the coaching change. Definitely was going to Texas. That was done.
Okay. All right, good stuff, guys. Aloha Traveler. This is a good question. I actually am interested in what you guys have to say about this. Hey, fellas, appreciate all you guys do. What are your thoughts on Brian Kelly matching NIL donations up to $1 million? Head coaches donating to their own NIL. Yeah, here's the and Ross Dellinger obviously put this out. This is the statement from Brian Kelly, and essentially is it's a statement saying LSU has a long and proud tradition of being one of the elite programs in college football. To remain among the nation's best in the new world of college athletics, we have to be competitive across all aspects of our program, and I'm committing to doing all we can to win championships at LSU. That's why he says here, that's why Paki and I don't know if that's I pronounced his name correctly, are excited to announce the Kelly Family $1 million match challenge. That's for every dollar you contribute to name, image, and likeness opportunities via the Bayou Traditions Football Fund today through February 5th. We will match all contributions up to $1 million with a gift to the Tiger Athletic Foundation's AD's Excellence Fund. So Ross Dellinger is claiming this happens probably behind the scenes a lot with coaches, with big time boosters and donors like, hey, you know what? Hey, I'm willing to put it on the line for you as well. But this may be one of the first times we've seen it publicly, obviously acknowledged and publicly something that is promoted. So what are you guys' thoughts about it? Do we think this is something that will become mainstream?
Well, I got some advice for Ryan Day. Throw your whole next year's salary up for it, so you get the coach next season. I don't care what Ross Bjork said. Ross Bjork had Mark Stoops on a plane to College Station, and the higher ups said turn the plane around. So it doesn't matter what Bjork says. Ryan Day, this is my only advice I'll ever give to somebody who's won a lot of games and I'm 0-0. Throw your whole salary into it next year.
Don't fire me fund.
Yes.
I like that, Randy. Well done. Well done.
You have to do that when you're not matching the amount of millions with the amount of wins. Yeah. You know, what did he make? 10 million, 9 million a year?
Like 9.5 or something. Yeah, like 9.
Yeah. You got to get 1 million back for every loss that you don't win above your. It's like $1 million a win, right?
That's fair.
He needs to give one back. That should be the rule, maybe, for everybody. Like Bill Belichick, your $10 million salary, Bill. If you win 5 next year, you got to give 5 to NIL. Try to help us get back up over the hump here.
I love it, Bobby. I love it. That is a great idea. That's fair. That's fair. That is. Yep. I love it. You're damn right. Agents gonna hate it, but still. We know it wouldn't affect the agents. They don't have to get it back, right? Agents are good. They get their money up front. They're like, nah, I'm good. Got my money up front. I'm good.
Brent Venables needs to give 2 Mercedes, a house, and half the salary.
Oh man, yes, and that talk about a new era of college. I would say Jim Harbaugh did something. So remember he took that pay cut though. That was along the same lines. Like, listen, don't fire me. I'll just take a little less. All right, and then he ends up winning. So it can work in your favor as a coach because all you gotta do is swing it and turn it around. If he turns it around, I mean, Brian Kelly will get all that back and then some. Y'all know that. All right, there you go. I mean, I like the idea though. I like what Bobby said too, man. That should be something that's more common. All right, let's get to this. Back to the super chats here. It's 420 somewhere. Says if Texas advances, does that stop players leaving that would have left otherwise since the window closes before the second game is played?
Great question.
I want to find out a little bit more about this rule because last year there was an exception.
Yeah.
If teams were in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Is there an exception if teams are in the playoffs this year? I don't know because they've tinkered with this rule so many times. It's one that I need to go back and reread. It's 420 somewhere. That is a really good question. I just don't know the answer.
I don't either.
Yeah, that is. It's 420 somewhere. Stay tuned as you always are, which we appreciate. We'll try to find that out for you because that's interesting. In William Niche here says, thank you as 420 somewhere for the super chat, by the way. Says, and thank you as well, William. Any good recruiting stories? A while back, heard a story on another site that Harsin left a 4-star on-off visit at airport. Nobody picked him up. Oh man, recruiting horror stories. Jerry and Bobby, I'll leave it to you. I don't know any. I was treated very kindly in my recruiting visits and during my time.
Rod, you know some that didn't work out the right way though, that came in, visited you guys.
Yeah, I know some of those. I know some.
Who was
the recruits that I hosted? I know some of those.
Who was the running back? Was it Albert Hollis that came in with
DJ Williams? Yeah. When I was in school, there was a certain quarterback that came in for a visit from out of state and ended up in the drunk tank.
Yeah.
But nobody ever heard about it.
There's
all kinds of stories out there about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All kinds of. I remember there was a DB. This was back in the late 90s, and I was still calling recruits. And I'll never forget this, Rod. He was out of Atlanta, and he went to visit Mississippi State. And he had gone to Auburn the week before. He ended up signing with Auburn, by the way. And I said, oh, well, hey, such. How was your trip to Mississippi State? Oh, it was good. I go, what'd you do? He goes, we stayed in and played Madden or whatever the name of the video game was, and smoked weed. I go, I can't quote you on that.
Hey,
Alan, you asked me what I did. That's what I did.
Alan McAdam
did he commit? Did he commit?
He went to Auburn.
Hey, Alan McAdam has the best. Tommy Tuberville at the dinner table with recruits.
Yes.
Agent calls him. He's taking the Cincinnati job. He left.
Goes to the bathroom, never comes back. That was an all-time move right there. Wow. And now and now he's your favorite politician. There you go.
Hey,
you know what? That story tracks with a politician, doesn't it? It tracks with a politician.
Younger people don't realize this, but when Mac was fired that weekend, you know who was on campus for the University of Texas?
Oh, no.
As a recruit? Tyreek Hill.
Oh.
Did y'all realize that?
Wow.
He was on campus as a recruit at the University of Texas that weekend. Was likely going to Texas.
That stinks. He's got like 12 kids. At least 4 of them are going to be really good.
He's married. Isn't he married to
Kenny? I don't know, but there's
Vaccaro's sister. Is that right?
He's married to Kenny Vaccaro's sister.
Let's just say he ends up with like 14 kids. Like, can you imagine the legacy recruits? Like 4 of them are going to have to be big time. I mean, like,
at least one of them is going to be, speedsters. Come on now.
Yeah. They're going to be fast. For sure.
I would say I'm going to take the one that's Kenny Vaccaro, the one that he's got with Kenny Vaccaro. That's the one I'll take. An all-time great at DBU and then one of the greats. I'll take that one.
There was another player on campus that weekend that was also an NFL player, and I can't remember who it was. I'll look it up.
Hey, Brock, I know I got to do a read here, but I think Brock Edwards' mom, because Brock wanted to go to Miami, Rod, back in the day.
I remember.
And they went on the visit. I don't think she saw her son for 48 hours. And no, we're not doing this. You're going to Texas. No. You're going to Texas.
She knew. I'll lose my son forever. I can't do it. You're going to Texas. I love it. I love that. Yep. No, my wildest recruiting story, I'll just say we got it. It was me and my crew, which is like, my crew is Sims and the crew. Bo Skis and them. We were hosting a recruit. I won't say his name. People have probably heard me say this before, so his name is out there. And he did commit, but we got into a fight at a frat house with the entire frat. It was like 300. It was basically like 8 of us against a whole frat of dudes because they threw a bottle at Chris Sims' head.
Oh.
That's how it started because a lot of people weren't Chris Sims fans at the time. So, that's kind of a wildest recruiting. So, by the way, he did commit though. The recruit.
Yes.
Did commit,
and by the way, somebody brought up Phillip Rivers. He's got a lot of kids. This is actually funny you brought this up, Casey. Phillip Rivers is a head coach in the Mobile area, Spanish Fort area in Alabama, where he's from. One of his kids is one of the top 2027 quarterbacks in the country, and A.J. Milwee was by the school to see him this week. So,
wow.
Yeah, Rivers has some kids coming up. He's the head coach. One of them's the quarterback, and Texas apparently likes this young fella.
All of Rivers' kids are with the same woman, which is the difference between him and Tyreek Hill. And did anybody would say, which also, I guess, I don't know for her, may be tragic too. I don't know. I have a lot of kids. All right, let's get back to the super chats here and the questions. Oh, before we do that, Jerry, would you tell the fine folks out there about our friends over at South Point? Sorry, South Point, before the awkward segue.
We don't have a Manscaped voice like noise, so I'm going to say vroom vroom. Hey, Texas football fans, score an easy extra point this season. When you get to the point at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has over 600 vehicles in stock, and their award-winning sales staff doesn't do games or gimmicks. They just get straight to the point by getting you the best deal. So score big today at South Point Dodge. Come see us off I-35 in South Austin or at southpointdodge.com. Get to the point at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge is Austin's automotive everything. Looking to sell your car? Get South Point's best offer over the phone or online. One more reason to reach out to South Lake Dodge, like Texas, it's the #1 recruiting class. This is the best place to be. South Point Dodge, #1.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Appreciate that. All right, we'll get to some questions before, obviously, we get to the end of our live stream here. How about this one from Patrick Smith? Says, any word on Bond? I think Wingo gets to start, and hopefully he's improved his blocking on run plays. That's a weakness when he plays. Yeah, I haven't heard anything on Bond. And there is also another Lincoln Landell Griffin says, any injury updates for Texas? I guess we can kind of group these in together. Kelvin Banks seemed to imply that he's going to be ready to go when he was interviewed for the national award-winning ceremony. What are you guys' thoughts about Bond and any injury updates that obviously we'll have? I don't know. Do they do an availability report for the postseason, guys?
I don't think they do. I don't think they do. They don't.
Okay.
No, they don't. But he did intimate that he was definitely going to play. Banks did say that. No word on Bond. He was rolled up on against Georgia. Let's see what happens. I mean, Jerry and I have talked about this. The problem with Bond, if he's truly still hampered by that, is he loses what makes him special.
Yeah.
And his speed is what makes him a difference maker. Otherwise, a healthier guy may be that person. So, and Wingo could get the start. Absolutely. I'd like to see Silas Bolden get more time, by the way, based on what he's done when he's had opportunities. So as we look for Texans to kind of muster more offense in the playoffs, maybe Silas Bolden, maybe Ryan Wingo are people they look to.
But actually, Silas Bolden made some big plays in that championship game. Yeah, big catches down the stretch. I'm with you on that. And DeAndre Moore, of course, stepping up. We know Matthew Golden's the guy. Thank you, Patrick. We appreciate that one. How about this from Joseph Curtis? Says, Rod, Jerry, I know this is looking ahead to next season, excluding the portal players for now. Any young players here are coming in from high school that could be war daddies.
Hey guys, I need to go. I know I've got to see you guys later. Y'all take care. Everybody have a good weekend. We'll have more. We got Josh Pate tomorrow morning for the Saturday conversation, guys. Hope you guys enjoy that.
All right. Thanks, Bobby.
Take care now.
Oh, that's a good question. If Jonah Williams hadn't had the crack clavicle, I saw him Monday. He's doing well, by the way. I saw him Monday night. And he was competing in spring practice, Rod, in football, instead of just sitting in the meetings. I think he might have a shot to make a real push. The young D linemen are really good. Is any of them going to be Tommy Harris as a freshman in the SEC? I don't know about that, but I think they're really good players. I think Nick Townsend's an absolute stud of a prospect. But let's say if Texas gets Max Clare out of the portal and they have Jordan Washington and Max Clare, since Townsend's not going to be here for spring practice, does that push him back? I'm not sure freshman impact guys you're going to say, whoa, that guy's a war daddy like Colin Simmons. But I also can't rule it out. But, Rod, I think there is a ton of talent. It's a #1 class. I mean, it's loaded with players. But this Texas program, where the program's at now, gives these guys a little bit more time to develop and have a role before they have to be thrown out there as 300-snap guys.
Yep. No, I agree with you. And that's honestly, Texas is such a deep team now. It is harder and harder for freshmen to have that kind of impact. Just shows you got to be special. Colin Simmons is one of those special guys. And I think they got a couple special guys coming into this class. All right, getting back to it here. This one is from Shivam, says, Jerry, what's your prediction for Notre Dame Indiana game?
It's a good question. It's gonna be cold. They're both used to that. SMU got the short end of the playoffs, man. They're going up the State College is supposed to be like a high of 25 with 15-mile-an-hour winds. Have fun with that if you're from Dallas.
Yeah.
I like Notre Dame. I think it may be a closer game than people think. I like Notre Dame, Rod. I don't know. 30, 31, 21, something like that, 31, 20. I think Indiana is going to give them a game with all this time to prepare. I think Indiana is pretty good on defense. I don't think Notre Dame can overwhelm you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're really – look, I'm not one that's buying into Notre Dame necessarily. Oh, they're going to beat Georgia because Georgia didn't have a quarterback. 3 weeks ago, nobody thought Notre Dame should be in the playoffs because they're scheduled their loss to UNI. I think that was a fluke loss. I think Notre Dame's gotten better. Riley Leonard's gotten better, Rod. But I think they're a quality team with really good leadership and a tremendous running back. I really like Riley Leonard too.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can blow out anybody though in a playoff. I'm not sure they have that type of juice.
I would say that's not how they're built really either. No, I agree with you on that. And it's interesting that you brought that up though, that now weather for the first time, pretty much, I don't know, maybe ever this late in the season, of course, because of the playoff, is playing a role because of the home game. Not for Texas, of course, but I didn't think about that. SMU going up there and playing in that kind of weather. You're right. NFL, that's a huge factor in NFL playoff games down the stretch. Haven't thought about that, but now in the college football playoff, it's going to be a factor, no doubt. All right, good question there. How about this from MJF? Another college football playoff related question, but this one Texas related, and I like this one. If you are Arizona State now, how are you splitting your time prepping between Texas or Clemson? That is good.
That's a great question, and I have a little insight on that. They're definitely prepping for both right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure it's dramatic one way or the other. They're definitely prepping for both right now. So it's. I'm not going to say it's sitting there even. I think there's a little more Texas, but it ain't far off to where hey, we're doing 90% Texas, 10% Clemson. Not that. That'd be bad coaching. That'd be bad prep.
Yeah, be irresponsible, right?
That'd be irresponsible. Yeah. So they're preparing for both like they could play either one.
I agree with you. I was going to say because you can gamble if you want to. But if that gamble blows up in your face, you just wasted your one of your advantages, which is the extra time.
Yeah.
And if you do 50-50 or close to it, then you may not gain the most advantage. You may not be able to maximize that time, but at least you'll still get the advantage of the prep as opposed to you gambled and it blew up in your face.
Yes.
So I'm with you. I think most coaches will do the responsible thing and they'll kind of they'll split that prep time. Good question, though. I like that.
Rod, you got a thought on this? I want to ask you this one. Other than Georgia, who might be a bad matchup for Texas?
Oh, that's good.
I'll go best matchup for Texas. Arizona State. Who do you have as a bad? I just don't think they're going to have the juice up front on either side of the line.
It's the D line is the key.
Yes.
Right? To me, if you want to have a bad matchup against Texas, it starts the D line and then the linebackers. It's almost like a front seven, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I think Texas large humans on the offensive line are going to would be an issue for Arizona State, and then Texas pass rush against their OL. Is Penn State a tough matchup for Texas because of their front?
They got the front players,
and they can run the football like Georgia maybe could, but they're not as talented. But
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I wondered. Yeah, that's a good point though. They got the front. To me, it starts with the front seven. How does Tennessee match up with them?
Yeah.
But right?
I mean, a lot of people say Oregon because of the speed. I'm only thinking, and I agree. I think Oregon, from a skill standpoint, offensively, Dylan Gabriel may be the best college quarterback in this whole deal.
He's beat him once already. He can move.
My question with Oregon, how good are they actually on defense, though? They played 3 teams in this playoff. They've given up 30 to all of them. 31 to Boise at home. J&T ran for 192. 32 to Ohio State, who couldn't score on Michigan to save their life or almost save Ryan Day's job. And Penn State, who can't score on anybody that's really good, put up 38 and 520 yards last week.
Yeah, I don't know how that
happened. How good is Oregon defensively?
Yeah, good point.
I mean, they could beat Texas in a shootout, but what's Oregon going to have to hit? Are they going to turn around and score 35 points on Texas? Who scored 35 on Texas?
No, they're not going to score No, I agree with you on that. They're not going to score more than 24 on Texas. Yeah. Now, right now, it's Georgia. I kind of would throw out maybe it's Oregon scares me because of Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
It's a Dylan Gabriel because to kind of get some flashbacks to that Oklahoma game. And then maybe it's Tennessee. I'm trying to think of the guys who got athletic fronts.
Nico might throw it to Texas a lot.
That's true. Nico will throw it to Texas. He can move, but he'll throw it to Texas.
That's a good question. I mean, Oregon offensively.
I don't know if it's one team, but you're right. Maybe different facets of a team.
Right. You're not going to play a team more talented than Georgia in the playoff.
Yeah. Georgia is the one. Georgia is your Achilles heel right now. That seems to be your kryptonite. No doubt about it. I totally understand why. All right, let's get to our last sponsor of the afternoon before we get to the end of our live stream. Our friends over at 40 Acres Apparel. 40 Acres Apparel was born in DKR, designed and built exclusively for the University of Texas and Longhorn Nation. Matter of fact, I'm wearing it right now. Got my 40 Acres Apparel pullover here. You can find it down at the University of Texas Co-op or go to universityoftexascoop.com and get geared up with 40 Acres Apparel. Great designs, fashionable, high quality, SPF 50, moisture wicking. It's a fantastic product. I was actually wearing it way before I started working with On Texas Football, and then they started actually sponsoring our here at On Texas Football, and it was just a match made in heaven. So I can testify that this is my go-to game day apparel. Love 40 Acres Apparel. Always get compliments on it. It's got collar integrity. I only know that's a thing, but the collar has great integrity. The shirts that they have, and it is really comfortable, high quality gear. So check it out for yourself. That's 40 Acres, also a proud sponsor of the course material scholarships for the University of Texas. That is 40 Acres Apparel, available at the University of Texas Co-op. Thank you very much for sponsoring our Friday live stream. All right, a couple of more questions, Jared, before we get to the end of everything here. Cameron says, does the punter have to wait to play? For those who don't know, Texas did get a punter via the transfer portal.
Yeah, it has to wait to play unless they change the rule and I was asleep at the wheel, which could have happened. No, I mean, you can't play for two teams in the same season. That's the one thing the portal doesn't allow you to do in NCAA right now is play for two teams in the same season. So, no, he will be coming in the spring and get ready for next season.
All right. Emmanuel says, does the 30-day transfer portal window after a coach leaves still exists? That's
yes, I believe that. I believe that still exists. Yeah.
Yeah. So no matter what time of the year it is, no matter when it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So like if Ryan Day got lost to Tennessee and got fired, 30-day window for their players.
All right. I like this from Bobby. We can end it on this one. It says, I think UT can score enough for a shootout right now. That's a great question. I don't know do we think a team, I think the other question, Bobby, for this is the flip is, what offense is going to be able to shoot it out and score enough to make it a shootout against the Texas defense? I don't know. I don't know if there's an offense out there that I think could just straight out shootout would mean they're scoring 35,
38, 35 type of game.
Close to 40 points. I don't know if there's an offense right now in college football, including Texas, that can score 40 plus points. Maybe Oregon. Could they win a shootout versus Oregon? I guess is the question. I don't know.
The tough one for me, Rod, is they haven't played a clean game in a long time on offense.
The third quarter. Yeah, the third quarter, man. I don't know. Because of the third quarter, I don't know if they could, because the third quarter has been disastrous for the last 4 games. That would be the only concern about the shootout. Because having a third quarter that's been as bad as they've had, and they've been outscored 31-3, I think, in the last four third quarters. You're not going to win a shootout that way.
Yeah.
So it's a good question, though, Bobby. The Texas offense, that is not the identity of this team. They just need to show up and be more efficient in the red zone, and they need to be a lot more, I would say, careful and aware of turnovers and self-inflicted wounds, because the defense is kind of what leads the way. There's no doubt about that. All right. Thank you guys for the questions. Thank you guys for all the super chats as well. Thanks to all of our sponsors for today. We appreciate our friends over at 40X Apparel, South Point, Dodge, and Flat Creek. Thanks to Bobby. Bobby had to leave a little bit early. We appreciate Bobby and all of his wisdom. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate everything you do as well. We'll have a Saturday conversation on the channel tomorrow, and it'll be any of the portal, obviously in transactions that happen, whether guys are departing via the portal or entering the portal. We'll have that covered at ontexasfootball.com. Thank you guys so much. Please enjoy your weekend off. Some of y'all might not want to do it. So what are you going to do, Jerry, with the weekend to not watch football?
It's going to be raining in Houston tomorrow. So I was going to cycle for about 20 miles. There goes that.
There you go.
I need to. I mean,
Nice.
Look, my best look is from the neck up right now. I don't know. Kima Boat Parade tomorrow night. There's one.
There you go. See? All right. Jerry's trying to find ways to expand his horizons other than football. We're all going to be a little bit lost. Don't sleep on the Army-Navy game, says LL. And you're right, LL. Thank you for that. We appreciate that. All right. Thank you, all you guys. Thank you. We appreciate all of you guys. Have a great weekend. Remember, anything that happens, keep it tuned in on Texas Football. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. He is the real MVP, of course. And until next time, hook 'em horns.